Here is your Radio Theater Channel weekly podcast for download. The RTC still has the very best old-time radio on the live streaming. And if it's music you love, tune in to the RTC Music Channel, where this link and many others are on our website at oldtimeradiolisten.com. Now, here's Jim.
This hour we discuss death from 2 points of view, starting off with A Shadow and Death Shows the Way from 1939.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.
The Shadow, mysterious character who aids the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. The Shadow uses his hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so that they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the unseen voice of the Shadow belongs. Today's story, Death Shows the Way.
Walked cheer, dum-de-dum-de-dum, knocked him in the old Kent Road.
Alan?
Yes, Mr. Cranston. Walked cheer, dum-de-dum-de-dum.
Alan!
Doctor, yes, sir. Dum-de-dum-de-dum.
Alan, what in the world are you doing?
Picking your clothes, sir.
Now, just a minute, Alan. I'm going away for the weekend, not a trip around the world.
Well, these are all necessities, sir.
Now, look, Alan. All I need is a change of linen, a toothbrush, and a razor.
I'm sorry, sir, but that's impossible.
What do you mean?
I mean that I shan't send you any place without the proper appointments.
Oh, I have nothing to say about it. Is that it?
Quite correct, sir.
Well, I will say something about it, and right here. Now, look, Alan, you come here.
There. May I come in?
Oh, hello, Margot. Come ahead.
Are you all ready to leave?
Not quite. I have to settle a small point with Alan first.
Oh, I bet I know what it is, too. Something to do with your weekend wardrobe?
Yes, exactly. Alan, for the last time, I'm telling you not to pack my bags full of all that junk.
The hunting jacket, golf shoes, dinner clothes, riding boots, business. Oh, yes, fishing tackle, fishing.
Did you hear me, Alan?
Quite so, sir. Suede jacket, polo shirt, tennis shorts.
Then why don't you do as I say?
Because, as I've told you before, Mr. Cranston, you shan't go to the Bartons unless you're correctly turned out. And that, if I may display firmness, sir, is final. There, you're all packed.
But the Bartons don't care whether I'm correctly turned out or not.
It isn't the Bartons that I'm trying to impress, sir.
Then who is it?
Their butler. What?
No.
Come on, pick up your bags, Lamont. You've lost again.
Sometime before this weekend is over, Lamont, we must have the Count tell us about his marvelous experience on Capri.
No, Mrs. Barton. I'm afraid it would be too long and dull for Mr. Cranston.
Why, not at all. That's my specialty. Long, dull stories. I collect them.
Oh, Henry, what a beautiful dog. Where did you get him?
Oh, just the other day. Come here, Major.
What do you call that kind of dog?
Great Dan.
He's a big, ferocious-looking beast.
Now lie down, Major. How about some crackers and cheese, you people?
Oh, that's for me, Henry.
Okay, help yourself.
Oh, Henry, that's a nice way to talk to a guest.
What do you mean, guest? When Lamont Cranston spends a weekend with us in the country, he's a member of the family.
Well, thanks, Henry. Say, speaking of members of the family, who's that young fellow approaching across the lawn?
Yes, dear. Mommy, Nurse says I have to go in and have my face washed and have my supper. Do I have to, Mommy?
Did he say Mommy? Why, Helen, I didn't know.
Helen.
Don't be alarmed. I didn't tell you that Henry and I adopted a child a couple of months ago.
Oh, I see.
Do I have to, Mommy? Now, Skippy, I want you to meet some friends of ours. Miss Margot Lane, Mr. Cranston, and Count Sanctum.
Hello, Skippy.
Hello, Skippy.
Hello. Do I have to have my face washed, Daddy?
Judging by its appearance, it wouldn't do any harm.
I think you'd better go in and do what Nurse tells you to do. I don't wanna. Daddy promised me a story. Daddy will tell you a story after dinner. Run along now. I don't wanna. Oh, dear, what'll I do? Oh, I know, Henry. Call the dog. Tell him it's his new pet. Maybe that'll please him.
Here, Major. Come here, boy. There. Now, look, Skippy. See what your mother and I bought for you?
Oh, a doggy. Hello, nice dog. Oh, Daddy,
Major, get back to the house.
Henry, that dog is vicious.
Now, Helen, don't get excited. The dog just isn't used to children, that's all. Now, Skippy, you run along.
Daddy? Are you going to tell me a story after dinner?
I'm afraid not, son. Daddy has a very important business date after dinner.
But you promised. Now run along, Skippy. Mommy will be up to see you later. I don't care. Daddy promised to tell me a story. Oh, now see what you've done,
I
Henry.
can't help it, Helen. You know that Mr. Knight from Taylor & Company is coming here tonight with your necklace.
But, Henry, you
Now,
promised...
darling, we have guests here, remember? I hope you all enjoyed the little visit backstage in the home life of the Barton.
Oh, we loved it.
You spoke of a necklace, Mr. Barton. Is it the same one that I read about your buying in the newspapers?
Yes, the Great Harvey diamond.
The Great Harvey? Have you bought that, Henry?
Yes, they're bringing it here tonight.
Well, isn't that the jewel with the great legend attached to it?
Legend? What is the legend, Miss Lane?
Why, I believe the story is that it brings misfortune to whoever owns it. Isn't that it, Henry?
Some such silly yarn, yes.
I take it, then, that you do not believe in this legend, Mr. Barton?
Why, of course not.
You're a brave man, Mr. Barton. A very brave man.
Mr. Barton, I trust that you've arranged to keep the necklace in a safe place. At least until you've paid me in full.
Oh, naturally, Knight.
Well, I guess our business is finished here, then. I imagine you'd like to get back to your guests.
No, on the contrary. I find it very difficult to tear myself away from this necklace. Beautiful stone.
Yes, it is.
It's all right, Skippy. You can come in. Skippy, this is Mr. Knight, a business friend of your father's. Mr. Knight, this is my son.
How do you
Daddy,
do?
when are you going to tell me that story?
Huh?
And Mommy says you're so forgetful. Did you think to offer Mr. Knight a drink?
Oh, yeah. Mommy is right as usual. Mr. Knight, will you forgive me and let me make you up one for the oversight?
Well, now that you mention it, I wouldn't mind having a drink. It's a long drive back to town.
Well, how'll you have it?
Straight, please. Water on the side.
Straight it is. There you are.
Thank you. Aren't you drinking, Mr. Barton?
No, I've been on the wagon lately.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, here's to the Great Harvey diamond. May it bring you much happiness.
Gee, you drank it all in one gulp.
Skippy, that's not very polite.
Well, I've got to be going.
What's the matter?
I don't know. I feel peculiar.
You're white as a sheet.
Water. Get me some water.
Yeah, but the decanter's empty. I'll run and get you some.
Oh.
Oh, gee. Daddy! Daddy!
Oh, here's the water.
Daddy!
Here, what's happened?
Oh, Daddy! He fell down like that.
Skippy, go out and play now, and don't say anything to anyone about this. You understand? To no one.
Yes, Daddy. I won't tell anyone.
Hello, Skippy. What's all the shouting about in here?
Yes, is something wrong?
Hello. Mr. Knight's had a sudden attack of some kind. I'm afraid he's very ill. We must get him upstairs. Count Santo, will you lift his feet, please?
Surely.
I don't think that'll be necessary, Henry.
Well, why not?
It's too late. He's dead.
Dead?
Yes. What happened, Henry? What brought this on?
I don't know. We were sitting here discussing the diamond, and... The diamond! The diamond!
What about it?
It was right here on the desk. It's disappeared.
You know, Lamont, someday, sometime, we're going to go someplace where we'll actually spend 2 consecutive days when absolutely nothing happens.
Margot, tell the truth now. You'd be bored to death.
Yes, I suppose I would. It's the fire horse in me, I guess. Lamont, what do you make of this thing?
Well, it's undoubtedly murder. The killer made off with the Harvey diamond.
Well, why did Mr. Barton raise such a fuss about calling the police?
Well, I'm not sure. Probably didn't want his name dragged into a bad mess.
Incidentally, what's keeping the police? Why haven't they gotten here?
We're out in the country, Margot. It'll take them some time.
And meanwhile, we're faced with a familiar question. Who done it?
Yes. Margot, I think there's a partial answer to your question just leaving the back door of the house.
Who is it, Lamont?
I'm not sure, but it looks like our continental friend, Count Santo.
Well, where's he going?
My guess would be to the garage. Come on, we'll find out.
Do you know something, Lamont?
What?
I don't think he's any more of a count than I am.
Yeah? Do you know something, Margot?
What?
Neither do I.
Do you think he's trying to make a getaway?
I don't think I know. Come on, we'd better hurry.
Well, what are you going to do?
Have a talk with Mr. Santo and find out why he's so anxious to leave here.
Oh, but Lamont, that's dangerous. If he is the murderer, he'll try to kill you, too.
Don't worry, Margot. The shadow will take care of that.
Well, some luggers put the starter on the fritz. What was that?
I wouldn't bother wearing out the battery, Count Santo. The ignition wires have been cut.
Who is speaking to me?
I am called the Shadow.
Huh? Shadow?
So you've heard of me, eh, Count Santo?
Heard of you? Why?
I thought probably you had. My name is quite familiar to those of the underworld.
Underworld?
Never heard of that either, I suppose.
Who are you? Where are you?
I am right beside you. Here. In the shadows. Oh, don't try to look for me. You see, I've clouded your mind so you cannot see me.
Well, what do you want of me, Mr. Shadow?
May I suggest first that you forget your accent?
Well, what do you mean?
I mean that when the starter of your car didn't work, you had no difficulty with the English language at all.
You're a pretty smart guy, aren't you, Shadow?
That's better.
Well, what do you want of me?
I'd like to know why, after a robbery and a murder have been committed in the Barton house, you are leaving it so hurriedly.
That's my business.
It's also mine. Now listen to me, Santo, or whatever your real name is. I'm seeing to it that you're not leaving this place until the police arrive. So you'd better tell me all you know about what happened in the house.
I don't know anything.
You're lying, Santo.
So I'm lying, but I still don't know anything.
Then what were you doing here, under an assumed name, accepting the Barton hospitality? Shall I tell you?
Yes, do, Shadow.
You came to steal the Harvey diamond.
No, that's a lie.
You'd better tell me the truth, Santo. There's been a murder committed tonight, and the finger of guilt points straight at you.
All right, Shadow. All right, I'll talk. But you're not hanging any murder rap on me, see, because I don't know anything about that. That's the truth.
How did you become acquainted with the Bartons?
I met them last year in Europe. I made them think I was a count because, well, that's my racket, see? When a sucker gets taken by nobility, they don't feel so bad about it. Well, the Bartons looked like a soft touch, so I gave them a play.
Go on.
I didn't tap them for anything over there. I just had a hunch on it, that's all. I felt I could build them up for a bigger take later on. I was right.
You mean the Harvey diamond?
I mean the Harvey diamond. I read about old man Barton planning to buy it, so I looked him up again. I swung this weekend because I knew he'd be getting the necklace.
I see. And you came up here to steal it?
Yes. My plan was to wait till sometime late tonight. Then I'd grab the stones and make a getaway while everyone was sleeping. But somebody else beat me to it.
You wouldn't still be lying by any chance?
Listen, Shadow, I'm a high-class, respectable jewel thief. Murder is out of my line.
Even murder for the Harvey diamond?
You know, for a supposedly smart guy, you don't follow the ball too close, do you?
What do you mean?
I mean there's somebody else in that house who wanted that diamond. Somebody who'd kill for it.
Who are you talking about, Santo?
Well, maybe I'm not saying.
Come on, Santo. I know enough about you to put you behind bars for life. Name the killer.
Okay. I'm speaking.
Santo! Santo!
Got me. Got me, too.
Who is it, Santo? Who is this murderer?
It's Mr.
Lamont, are you all right?
Yes, Margot.
Oh, I was standing just outside the door and I heard the shot.
Did you see anyone as you came in?
No, but I heard footsteps running down the driveway. Lamont, is he?
Yes, he's dead. Come on, Margot. We've got to catch this killer before he makes a getaway.
Did you learn anything from Santo?
No. Just as he was about to reveal the murderer's name, the shots were fired.
Oh, Lamont, what's that?
I don't know, but it came from the house. Come on.
What's happening now?
What's up? What's the matter here?
It's Skippy.
What's happened to him?
I left him sitting here on the porch. I came out and he was gone. And then I looked in the lane at the foot of the grounds and two men had him. They put him in a big sedan and drove away. Skippy's been kidnapped.
Well, Margot, how's little Skippy?
Well, he seems to be well enough, Lamont.
Did you tell him I wanted to see him?
Yes, he'll be right down.
Oh, good.
Lamont, I can't understand. Why should anyone want to kidnap the child and then let him go again 2 hours later?
I don't know. In fact, Margot, I don't know or understand the happenings of this entire night.
Police are out in the garage.
Oh? They find anything?
Well, they learned that the bullets that killed Count Santo were fired through the back window.
That's a clever bit of deduction. I found that out when the gun went off.
And they also learned that Mr. Knight was poisoned.
Oh, I see. They're making remarkable progress, aren't they?
Lamont, have you any suspicions at all as to who killed Mr. Knight and Count Santo?
Well,
there are only 5 of us left here in the house. I didn't do it. And I'm reasonably certain you didn't.
Thanks.
So that leaves no one but the Bartons, doesn't it?
Oh, Lamont, you're not saying that Mr. Barton...
I'm not saying anything, Margot. Yet.
Did you want to see me, Mr. Cranston?
Oh, yes. Come in, Skippy. I'd like to ask you some questions about what happened tonight.
You carry a gun.
I know, Skippy. Why?
I guess you're not much of a detective then.
Margot, do you mind leaving us men alone?
Oh, well, if that's the way you feel about it. All right, I'll go down to the garage and see if the detectives who do carry guns will talk to him.
Oh, no, Margot, I didn't mean that.
Skippy, if he tries to give you the 3rd degree, you just call out and I'll come a-running.
Well, Skippy, now let's see.
What was it Miss Lane said you'd give me, Mr. Cranston?
Oh, nothing, Skippy.
But she said you'd give me...
Let's forget what she said now. Instead, suppose you tell me exactly what happened to you.
Well, I was sitting on the porch just like Mommy told me, and then the first thing I knew, there was some men standing beside me.
I see.
I got scared and I started to call for Mommy, but one of the men put his hand on my mouth and I couldn't. Did you ever try to call your Mommy with a hand over your mouth?
No, I don't think I have. What happened then, Skippy?
Well, he took me down to a car and he put me in the car and we drove away.
Yes?
And then we... Hey, what was it Miss Lane said you'd give me?
She was only having fun with you, Skippy. Now tell me what happened next.
Well, they took me to an old house that was right in the middle of a big, dark woods, and they tied me up with rope and everything, and then they went away.
And then what?
Then they came and got me and brought me back here again.
Is that all that happened?
Yup.
What did they talk like?
Talk like?
Yes, what were their voices like? What did they talk about?
Oh, they talked awful funny. They didn't speak American at all. And they had big, long knives.
Oh, I see. Kidnappers must have gotten scared and brought you back. Well...
Oh, here you are, Lamont.
Oh, Henry, what's the matter?
It's about the diamond.
Oh, what about it?
It wasn't stolen at all.
What do you mean?
The police were just searching the late Mr. Knight's clothing. They came across this package. Look.
What? Why, it's the necklace.
Yes. I've just finished examining it, and there isn't a doubt that this is the genuine stone.
But the one that was stolen.
It was a copy of the original. It's customary, you know, for all valuable gems to have imitation substitutes. And Knight must have accidentally given me the wrong one first.
Then the murderer got nothing but a worthless imitation.
Exactly.
You know what this means, Barton?
No.
When the killer discovers his mistake, he'll come back for the original stone.
That's so. He might at that. Well, if he does, I'll be ready for him.
I have a better idea. You can take this offer for what it's worth, but I'd be glad to keep the necklace for you until morning.
Well, that's very kind of you, Lamont, but...
I know it's a rather large order asking you to trust me with such a priceless jewel, but I think you know me well enough.
Oh, yes, of course, but...
Good. Then let me have it.
Oh, now look here, Lamont.
That's fine. We can bring it into your vault in town in the morning.
Oh, I shouldn't do this. Oh, I wonder who left the dog in the house.
I like to play with a dog, Daddy. When I kick him, he makes a funny noise.
Don't ever let me catch you doing that, or I'll take him away from you. Major. Now, Major, get out of here.
Watch, Daddy, I'm going to kick him. Oh, Daddy, keep away from me.
Major, stop screaming, Skippy. I've got one of them.
You'll either have to get rid of Skippy or the dog. And I'd suggest...
Yes, I know, but for the time being, the dog is out of this house and stays out now. Quiet, Skippy. Oh, excuse me, Lamont. Now, down, Major. Quiet now. Quiet.
All right now, Skippy. The dog's gone. It's all right.
Are you through talking with me, Mr. Cranston?
I guess so, Skippy. Unless you can think of anything else to tell me.
No, that's all. Can I go upstairs to Mommy now?
You certainly can. And she has my good wishes.
I'm awful thirsty, too. Maybe I better have a glass of water. There's some on that table over there.
Help yourself.
Would you like some water, Mr. Cranston?
Why, thank you very much.
Here you are.
Thanks. That water tasted funny.
What's that? Daddy! Daddy, come quick! I think Mr. Cranston's sick!
I asked him not to do it. Why in the name of thunder did I let him?
What do you mean, Henry?
Lamont was keeping the diamond for me. That's why he was poisoned. It must be. The diamond, the real diamond, is missing.
Daddy, what was the matter with Mr. Cranston? He looked so funny when you carried him upstairs.
Hush, Skippy. Why doesn't that doctor come down? Why must he be so long?
Now, Margot.
Doctor, how is he?
I'm afraid I have bad news for you.
No.
Mr. Cranston is dead.
No, he can't be. I don't believe it.
Where are you going, Margot?
I've got to see him.
Come back, Margot. I wouldn't go up there now. Please, Margot.
Oh, Lamont.
Take it easy, Margot.
What? Did you?
Yes. I spoke, Margot.
Now, dear, take it easy.
But the doctor said that you...
Yes, I know. He said I was dead. I fooled the good doctor with a little trick of suspended animation that I once learned. I'm sorry, darling, that you suffered from my hoax, but it was very necessary.
Necessary enough to break me into pieces like this?
Yes, Margot, yes.
What do you mean?
Just this. As far as everyone downstairs is concerned, I'm dead.
You mean permanently?
No, just for the next few minutes. Now, you've got to help me with this.
How?
I want you to go back downstairs. Behave just as you would have if I had really died.
Yes?
The shadow will join you down there. But first, you must do as I say.
Well, Margot?
I can't believe he's dead.
Who's dead, Mommy? Mr. Cranston dead?
Quiet, Skippy, please.
Margot, why don't you get some rest? I don't want to stay in the house with a dead man, Mommy. Please, can I go outside?
Oh, that's a good idea, Skippy. Why don't you? Oh, Helen, you can't let that boy out of here after what happened to him before.
But I want to go out, Mommy.
No, Skippy, Miss Lane is right.
I don't care about Miss Lane. I want to go outside.
Skippy, how dare you talk like that to your mother?
I'm going out.
No, you aren't, Skippy.
You let go of me. I want to get out.
What was that?
I think you'd better stay right here, Skippy.
Daddy, who's talking to me?
I'm called the Shadow. Does my name sound familiar to you, Skippy?
No. No.
What are you doing here, Shadow? And why are you trying to frighten this boy?
Because, Mr. Barton, this boy, as you call him, is at the bottom of everything that's happened here tonight.
What do you mean?
I mean that he is the murderer of Mr. Knight and Count Sanctum and the thief who stole the Harvey diamond.
That's preposterous. How could a child...
Skippy's not a child, Mr. Barton. Skippy hasn't been a child for many years.
Not a child?
No. He's a midget.
What?
Oh, I don't believe
Daddy. Daddy, what's he saying about me?
If you don't believe me, Mr. Barton, then I suggest you look in his jacket pocket. I think you'll find the missing necklace.
But I...
Go on. Look.
Daddy, please, I want to go out. I don't like that man.
Now, come here, Skippy.
No.
Why don't you let him search you, Skippy?
Well, Skippy, there's no harm.
All right. Keep away from me, all of you.
Look out, Henry, he's got a gun.
Yes, and I'll use it on the first one of you that makes a move. And let me warn you, Mr. Shadow. I can't see you. But if you lay a hand on me, I'll get these people before you get me.
Skippy, what are you saying?
All right, can of Skippy stuff. From now on, you can call me by my real name. It's Mike. Mike Karate, see?
Mike Karate?
Sure, and I got your diamond, too, Mr. Barton, right here in my pocket.
Put that gun down, Hirati.
Not a chance, Mr. Shadow. I'm getting out of here right now.
He's turned off the lights.
So long, Daddy.
He's climbing out the window. We've got to stop him.
He's running across the lawn.
No! Sit down! Quick, Henry, the dog's attacking you. Oh, I can't watch it.
I'll go and help him.
I'm afraid that Mike Hirati is beyond help now, Mr. Barton.
Lamont, what made you suspect that Skippy wasn't a child?
Well, Margot, that kidnapping, for one thing. It was too good to be on the level. It was arranged to get him out of the house with the diamond. And then, when his confederates found out that he'd stolen the phony gem, they brought him back again to steal the real stone.
Oh, I see.
And to clinch matters, I asked Barton to let me keep the real necklace. And after I keeled over, after apparently drinking the water, I felt him take the jewel from my pocket.
Nice business. Well, it wasn't a dull weekend.
I should say not.
2 murders and little Mike killed by the dog. You know, Lamont, I'm going to have a funny attitude toward children from now on.
Well, how's that?
Well, when I touch them on the cheek, I won't know whether to pet them or feel for a beard.
Today's program is based on a story copyrighted by the Shadow magazine. The characters, names, places, and plot are fictitious. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay. The Shadow knows.
And that's Death Shows the Way, from December 3rd, 1939. Now we will hear a story called The Undead, an episode of Inner Sanctum from 1945.
and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries. Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum. This is your host to welcome you through the squeaking door for another half hour of lovely chills and shudders. Oh, before we begin tonight, I'd like to give you a word of advice. If you should ever walk through a cemetery at midnight and come face to face with a transparent personality floating above a tombstone, don't be frightened. After all, you can see right through him.
Good gracious, why do we have to talk about cemeteries?
Because, Mary, our story tonight is about a vampire. Where else would you expect to find one if not in a cemetery? In the Vampire State Building?
Well, suppose you go wait in that closet there and talk to the skeleton while I have a word with our Lipton listeners about one secret of success. You know, folks, when a Hollywood actress climbs up to stardom, it's usually because there's something different about her personality. And that's true of other success stories. Lipton Tea, for example, is the largest selling brand of tea in the world because it's different from other teas. Lipton's has that wonderful hearty flavor the tea experts call brisk, which means it's bright and zestful in taste, never wishy-washy or flat. Now, don't take my word for it. Compare Lipton's to other teas yourself. That's the real way to discover Lipton's rich, full flavor, Lipton's extra flavor that brings you all the goodness of a superb tea. It's full-bodied and satisfying, with a smooth, mellow tang that brings you real enjoyment. So pour yourself a cup of Lipton tea, folks, and then see for yourself what a difference that brisk flavor makes.
That's fine, Mary, but quietly, my dear.
Why the whisper, Mr. Hunt?
Don't make too much noise or you'll wake the dead. And we don't want to do that because tonight's story is called The Undead. It's an original radio play by Milton Lewis. Yes, and our star tonight is Anne Seymour, who plays the role of Diana.
I was alone here in the penthouse sleeping. The doors leading to the terrace were open. Suddenly, I was awakened by a queer, whirring noise that sounded like the flapping of wings. I opened my eyes. Moonlight filled the room. It was one of those clear, cloudless nights. But the winds moaned and howled like weeping women. Somewhere, a dog howled. I sat up, peered into the green light of the moon. Could see nothing at first. I lay down again. My eyes were half closed. And I heard it again. The sound of wings beating on the air. I told myself it was nothing. Until out of the queer green shadows that surrounded me like a mist, I saw a pair of blood-red eyes close to my face. No, they weren't human eyes. They were rimmed with green. They glittered like glass in the dark. I looked closer. Too frightened to move. Too terrified to cry out. The thing that seemed to be flying round my head looked like a bat. Yet it wasn't a bat. Suddenly it floated down. I felt soft fur on my neck. Then my throat was pierced with a sharp, terrible pain. I started screaming, "Let me go! Let me go! Richard! Where are you, Richard? Richard!"
Go on, Diana.
When I felt your arms around me, I knew I was safe, Richard, but it was the most horrible dream I ever had.
Yes, I know, darling. You were hysterical.
What do you think it meant?
Well, nothing. Nothing, of course, dear. Everyone has nightmares like that sometime or other.
But it was so vivid. I could almost swear it happened just as I told it to you.
Now, Diana, do you really believe you've encountered a vampire?
I know it sounds ridiculous, darling.
Listen, baby, you're living in New York City on top of an 18-story building. This is 1945, not the Middle Ages. But the whole notion is just rubbish.
I tried to tell myself it was nonsense, too. But somehow... Oh, Richard, I want to get out of this place.
But why?
I don't like this apartment. There's something evil, sinister here. I've always felt it. And listen. Listen to that wind. The wind howl around here all the time.
Well, naturally, it's a penthouse, and it catches the winds from the river.
You hear that? Something flapping on the terrace.
That's just the awning.
There are always queer noises around here, all the time, and I can't bear it being alone here at night. Richard, please don't let me stay here alone tonight.
I can't stay with you, darling. I've got to go to the theater.
I don't want you to go there, please. Let your understudy take the part tonight. Take me away from here, far away where it's warm and there's sunlight.
Diana, you don't know what you're saying, dear. I can't give up my part in the show.
Of course. Of course. Oh, darling, forgive me, please. I'm sorry I haven't mentioned it. You do forgive me, don't you, Richard? Say you do.
Why, of course. You're just upset over this silly dream.
I know. I won't mention it again.
You're okay, baby. Well, it's 10 to 8. I'd better get going. Want to come with me?
Yes. No, I'm going to stay here.
But if this place frightens you...
That's just why I'm going to stay. And alone. I'm going to beat this thing. Somehow.
That's better, darling. Much better.
Here's your coat.
Right.
And you better take your scarf. It feels chilly. Richard. I said I won't mention it again, but there's one thing more I have to tell you. That the face of that thing in my dream, it was your face.
Diana, in the name of
I won't
heaven...
talk of it anymore, I promise you, darling. I didn't mean to upset you just before you went to the theater. Just kiss me, dear. I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
Diana.
Good night, dear. I'll be waiting when you get back. It was just midnight, 2 nights later. I was waiting for Richard to come home from the theater. I was going through his desk looking for a postage stamp, and I found something that turned my blood to ice. It was a newspaper clipping dated 10 years ago. The picture of a man, and under it the caption, "Prominent real estate operator Richard Barker, found dead of a sudden stroke." I looked at the picture again. There could be no doubt of it. It was Richard. I read further. The deceased will be buried at Greenlawn Cemetery after services in the Westland Funeral Chapel.
Good evening, Diana.
Richard.
Why, what's the matter? You seem startled.
I didn't hear you come in.
Have you been brooding again?
No, Richard. Of course not.
Well, how do you feel tonight?
Not very well.
Weak?
Weak, sleepy, ill.
Well, no wonder. You've hardly been eating a thing. And I know that you never catch a wink of sleep.
I told you I can't sleep in the daytime as you do. As you do.
Why are you staring at me like that?
Why? Why do you sleep in the daytime?
I've been doing it for years.
Years?
What's so terrible about that? Most theatrical people do. We live and work at night.
Yes, I know.
Really, Diana, what is the matter with you?
Nothing. You think I'm losing my mind?
Well, I don't know what to think.
Why are you pretending?
Pretending what?
That you're something other than what you are. Because I know what you are, Richard.
Really?
I found out. This clipping I found in your desk, it tells how you died.
That clipping? Oh, that.
Why are you laughing?
Well, you see, it's a joke. It's a gag. One of my pictures was sent to the papers, publicity for a new play, you know. And a drunken typester put it in the obituary column. It's quite an amusing story.
I don't believe you. You're lying.
Listen, you can't go on like this.
No, don't touch me.
You're not well, darling.
Get your hands away from me.
I just want to kiss
you.
No,
don't touch me.
Diana, where are you going?
Out of here.
Diana, come back.
I'll come back when I've proved something to myself. Is there anyone there?
What do you want, ma'am?
I'm sorry to wake you up. Are you the caretaker here at Greenlawn?
Many years, ma'am.
I want to see the grave of Richard Barker.
Who are you?
Diana Barker. His wife.
But it's 1 a.m, Mrs. Barker.
I know what time it is. I want to see the grave.
No one comes at a time like this.
Please, will you tell me? Perhaps this will help.
$10.
For disturbing you.
All right. You take the path in back of my house. Turn to the right. Have you a flashlight?
I brought one from the car.
It's only a short way, but it isn't a grave, ma'am. It's sort of a tomb.
Thank you. I'll find it.
You want me to come with you?
No, I've troubled you enough. Good night.
Good night.
Somewhere, an owl was howling, as though warning me not to go on with this insane adventure. But I knew I had to continue. I had to be certain. I followed his directions along the path to the cemetery. The moon poked yellow fingers through scudding clouds as though showing me the way. I was frightened. Terrified. There's nothing to fear from the dead. Kept telling myself that to keep up my courage. The dead. Perhaps they were right. There was nothing to fear from them. But the undead. There it was. A tomb. The inscription was clear. Here lies Richard Barker, born May 7th, 1890. Died September 4th, 1935. There was a lock on the door. It was old and rusty. I'd come this far. I made up my mind. I picked up a stone. Smashed the lock. I opened the door. Blackness. Inky blackness, such as one imagines one would see at the end of the world. Turned on the flashlight I took from the car. Coffin was lying in the center of the tomb, on an altar. I felt my heart beating wildly, like a throbbing drum inside me. With a trembling hand, I opened the coffin. I looked down on a ghastly white satin lining. That was all there was in the coffin. There was nothing else. It was empty. I looked up. There was a face staring at me in the shadows of the tomb. It was Richard.
Diana, I knew you'd come here.
Well, friends, that just goes to show that an empty coffin makes the most noise. You know, this is the kind of nice domestic story I like. The intimate family chronicle of a vampire.
My goodness, is that what you call intimate family life?
Why, of course, Mary. It looks like our lovebirds will even share the same coffin.
I'm afraid you're drawing a very strange picture of family life, Mr. Host.
Right, Mary. And now let's go back to our horrors. Let me see. What dire predicament are we in tonight? Oh, yes. Diana has just discovered that her husband was wandering around his tomb. What would you do in a situation like that? Here's what Diana did. Listen.
I ran blindly, stumbling, tearing my clothes. Somehow I managed to reach the car, start the motor. In the car, I knew it wasn't all some dream. People didn't come back from the dead. Did they? Could they? I drove to the city. I wanted to see the lights, people, hear music. I wanted to be sure this was the world I'd always known. I tried to think. I tried to reason. I tried to understand what had happened to me. Because I knew something was happening to me. Something that I dreaded. I was becoming like them. Like Richard. I felt strange cravings. Desires that I didn't dare think of.
Excuse me, Mrs. Barker.
Oh.
May I sit with you?
I don't believe I know you.
But perhaps not. Does it make any difference?
No. No, it doesn't. Please sit down.
Thank you.
I'm glad you came over. I'm glad to be able to talk to anyone tonight.
I've been watching you for the last 10 minutes.
Have you?
You look very strange tonight.
How do you know me?
We all know each other.
We?
Yes. You realize you'll be dead soon.
Dead?
At least what they call dead.
You know what's happened?
Oh, yes, of course. I've seen it happening for weeks. Your face became paler and paler. It will not be long now. You will become one of us.
I don't want to.
It's not in your hands.
It isn't true. It can't be true.
It's quite true. Many of us have gone on for hundreds of years. Those who sustain us. become like us.
And
There is no escape.
No, I don't believe it.
Don't you feel it? Blood. That strange desire.
Yes.
There. You see?
I don't want to.
I once tried to fight it, too. It's no use.
I'm going away. Far away. Where he can't reach me. I'm going now and no one can reach me.
Waiter! Waiter! Will you help me here? There's been an accident.
Everything's going to be all right, Diana. Just lie here and rest quietly. You're in your own home.
I opened my eyes and saw Claudia, my older sister. Never was so glad to see anyone in all my life. Claudia had always helped me, always advised me. She'd know what to do.
You want something to eat?
No, I'm not hungry.
But the doctor said you'd have to eat.
How did I get here?
You collapsed in the cocktail lounge. They brought you home.
When?
Last night.
It's dark out.
You've been sleeping almost 24 hours.
Where's Richard?
At the theater. Poor boy, he was so worried about you.
Was he?
He sent for me. I've been with you since last night. Diana, what happened?
It's terribly difficult to explain. I sometimes think I'm losing my mind. I'd be sure that's what it is if I hadn't found out differently.
Tell me about it.
I found out Richard is dead. He's been dead for 10 years.
What are you talking about?
It's true, Claudia. I went to Greenlaw and I saw his tomb. I opened it and the coffin was empty.
Diana.
I know what you're thinking, but I'm not insane. He never sleeps at night. Now I feel this strange craving. Claudia, don't stare at me.
You know what you're saying.
Yes, I know it sounds wild, fantastic, but I haven't told this to anyone, but it's true. There are things in this world you only think are primitive superstitions, but Claudia, you must believe me.
Yes, of course, I believe you, dear.
We must destroy Richard. I read about those things. We must destroy him by driving a wooden stake through his heart. That's the only way I can escape from him. That's the only way I can become a human being again.
Diana.
You'll help me, Claudia.
Of course, dear. Haven't I always helped you?
Where are you going?
Just to fix you something to eat.
No, you're going to leave me. Leave me here alone with him. I won't let you do that, Claudia.
That gun. Where did you get that gun?
We've always had one here. Ever since I first told Richard I was afraid of this place. You're not going to leave me alone now, Claudia. I'm not going to let you.
Of course not.
Get away from that door.
That's what you
Claudia,
want.
come back. No. I go inside. Gone. Insane. She was so sure I was insane, she didn't even give me a chance to explain. I was alone in the house. I felt terribly weak. I wanted to sleep. I wanted to sleep forever and ever. But I knew if I lay down and closed my eyes, I might never open them again. Never open them and see the world as you or I used to. I'd be something else. I looked at the clock. Almost midnight. Richard would be coming back any minute. I ran to the door, locked it from the inside with a safety bolt. What to do? What to do? Police. I ran to the telephone.
Operator?
Hello, operator. Get me the police and hurry, please.
1 moment, please.
Hurry, will you? This is a matter of life and death. Hello, are you ringing them?
Police department. Sergeant Kilway talking.
Hello, police. You've got to help me.
Yes, what is it, lady?
My husband, he's going to do something to me tonight. He's going to make me what he is.
What's that, lady?
He's been dead for 10 years. I saw his empty coffin. That's proof, isn't it? That's evidence. You always want evidence, and there it is. Now do you understand?
Well, I'm not sure I do, lady. What's your name?
Diana Barker.
Well, all right. Now, calm down. Tell me where you live.
I live... Oh, you think I'm insane, too, don't you?
I didn't say that.
You think I'm crazy, just as Claudia does.
If you'll just give me the address, lady.
Oh, what's the use?
Please, lady.
No one believes it. I know I'm not insane. I know it, and yet... What's that? His key in the lock. He can't open it. It's bolted from the inside. He's trying to get in. But he can't. Not with that bolt. I won't open it. I won't. I'll just pretend I don't hear it. I'll cover my ears with my hands and I won't hear it. He can't get in here. If I can keep him out until daylight, I'll be safe. Safe. Suddenly, the doorbell stopped. I knew he hadn't gone away. I could feel him near me. But he couldn't get in. No, he couldn't get into the penthouse. There was no way to get in unless he came through the terrace. And there was no way to get on the terrace unless he could fly. Fly. The wind was screaming. When I turned to look at the French doors leading to the terrace, it was impossible. He couldn't. And yet, the doors burst open. The wind blew through the house like a cyclone. The air frame and the double
let me in.
How did you get out on the terrace?
Never mind. What are you doing with that gun?
Don't come near me, Richard.
Diana?
Go away. Go away and leave me alone.
Give me that gun.
No.
I'm warning you, Diana. You'd better give it to me.
If you take another step toward me, I'll fire.
Diana? You see?
The bullets. They didn't harm you.
No.
But I didn't miss.
No.
It's empty.
You see? It didn't do any good.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to put an end to this once and for all, Diana.
An end?
And I've prepared for this. I have a knife. You see?
Richard.
Don't be afraid, Diana. You won't quite die.
No, don't.
Come here, Diana.
No, Richard, no.
You're making too much trouble while you're alive.
Help me, someone! They got me! I saw the knife over my throat. I beat at his chest with the empty pistol. Then, just before everything became black, I saw 3 flashes of lightning.
Go on, Mrs. Barker.
When I woke up in the hospital, Inspector, I couldn't believe that I was still alive. It seemed like a miracle.
You would have been dead if it wasn't for your sister.
Claudia?
She came back with one of our men. He shot and killed your husband just as he was about to plunge the dagger into you.
But how did he get in?
He came over the adjoining terrace from the penthouse next door, just as your husband did. No, Mrs. Barker. Your husband didn't fly.
But the other things, the picture, the tomb, the empty coffin.
All props for an elaborate scheme your husband worked out to murder you. Richard Barker is not an uncommon name. He found a man with that name who died 10 years ago. He removed the body. He got the whole idea from the dream you told him.
But why?
To establish that you were insane.
Oh.
He planned to murder you and claim he did it in self-defense to protect himself against an insane woman.
But the gun...
Filled with blanks. He wanted to get your money, Mrs. Barker.
But the way I felt, those strange cravings...
You're suffering from anemia. Your doctor told us that. It's not uncommon for anemia sufferers to feel the way you did.
I still can't believe it. I still feel that he isn't quite dead.
I'll relieve that fear right now. His body's in the other room. I think you should see it. Come this way, Mrs. Barker. There. Raise the lid of the coffin, Charlie.
Yes, Inspector.
What's the matter?
He looks so lifelike. His lips are so ready. He looks as though he could move. Get up at any minute.
Nonsense. I assure you he's quite dead, Mrs. Barker. And I can further assure you that the police department has never encountered one authentic vampire in its history.
You're very reassuring, Inspector. I think I'd better leave now. Don't bother to see me to the door. Bye.
All right, Charlie. Cover him up and have him buried.
Okay, Inspector.
Oh, what is it, Charlie?
Inspector. Maybe I'm nuts, but I could swear that I saw him move.
Oh, nonsense. Close the lid. It's getting dark, Charlie. Sun sure goes down quick these winter days. I'm going home. Good night, Charlie.
Well, friends, do you think Richard is really dead? Oh, that's something for you to sleep on tonight. Oh, and by the way, we have a moral for tonight's story. Yes, it's taken from the diary of Miss Delirium Tremens, who once said, "Never marry a vampire. He may turn out to be 500 years old without a social security number to his name. And how can a girl have any fun going around with a guy like that?"
Well, Mr. Host, I don't think that's a serious problem. I'm positive that no girl will ever meet a vampire, much less marry one.
Ah, but you can't be sure, Mary. The safest thing is to drive a wooden stake through your husband's heart. Yes, if he dies, then he must be a vampire.
Oh, such foolishness. Let's forget all this talk about vampires, because I want to tell the folks about something wonderful that's going to happen next week. And next Tuesday's Christmas, you know. So instead of our usual mystery thriller, Inner Sanctum will bring you a tender and beautiful Christmas play called The Littlest Angel. And our star will be that great and beloved actress, Helen Hayes. So be sure to tune into this station at the regular Inner Sanctum time next week. I promise you, The Littlest Angel, starring Helen Hayes, and brought to you by the makers of Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup, will be the crowning pleasure of your Christmas day.
That sounds great, Mary. You know, Christmas is really wonderful. There's something about it that gets even the most hardened characters. Oh, by the way, this month's Inner Sanctum mystery novel is The Fearful Passage by H.C. Branson. And don't forget what Mary told you, friends. Next week, we'll bring you Inner Sanctum's special Christmas program, directed by Hyman Brown and starring Helen Hayes, America's First Lady of the Theater. There'll be no gore, no chill. Not even one little murder, believe it or not. The holiday spirit is getting even us. So be sure to join us next Tuesday. Meanwhile, I'm going to do my Christmas shopping. You know where I can get a nice fur-lined coffin for a cold-blooded friend? Until next Tuesday, then. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
That's it for this week. We'll be back next week with more old-time radio. I hope you can join us then. Till then, this is Jim Dolan thanking you for listening. The RTC Weekly Download is produced by Chris Stone and Jim Dolan.